what's up you guys? Thank you so much for joining me on my channel. This is the first video ever that I'm posting, which is kind of exciting. But I really wanted to document my journey of pregnancy because I have been really interested in watching other people's journeys, and so I figured why not do that myself. I really wanted to create a space and a community where women can come who are also pregnant or interested in the topic or thinking about becoming pregnant and who may have questions about it and kind of want to see someone else's experience. And so hopefully through my own personal experience you can gain some answers or tips, advice, things like that. So to start off this video, I'm actually just gonna be telling you the story about how I found out I was pregnant. And it's actually kind of a funny story. That's also why I wanted to tell it. I have quite a lot of experience of, wait, that didn't make sense. I have quite a lot of experiences of thinking I was pregnant and not actually being pregnant. So once I finally was, it was kind of funny because I didn't expect to actually be pregnant. So, okay, let me start from the beginning. It was last August. I think it was around just like the first few days of August, and I hadn't even missed my period yet, so it was really early. I think when I found out I was about like 3 weeks and 5 days or something like that, so I wasn't even quite 4 weeks along, which is so crazy. Again, it kind of shows you how obsessive I am that I would test so early. So my husband and I had been trying for we actually had been trying for a couple months, and then we took a little break because we realized with timing and things it actually worked out better to wait another few months and then try. So we had tried for a couple months before, and then this time we had only been trying for 2 months. So it was super early on. I'm one of those people who was really lucky to get pregnant pretty soon, and I know not everybody is, and so again, everyone's story is different, and I just am really lucky that I was able to get pregnant so quickly. But on the other hand, I had been wanting a baby for a very long time. And so I was obsessively like, okay, this is gonna get into TMI, but there was other times where I thought I could have been pregnant even though we weren't technically trying. I won't go into details on that. So there had been a lot of times even before we were trying that I thought I was pregnant. And so I was pretty used to watching all the videos of people's symptoms. I would test a lot, and I think just because I wanted to be a mom so bad, that's all I could think about. So when it came to this month, I kind of had already had my hopes up so many times that I really didn't expect it to actually be true. And so it was a Sunday, I remember, because so earlier that day we were at church, and one of my friends, she comes up to me and we were talking, and somehow we got on the topic of me being tired. That is a symptom. I was really tired that week, but I'm kind of a tired person, so I really didn't think anything of it. I just was talking to her and I was like, yeah, I think it's just been a busy week. Like, I've just been exhausted. And she already has a baby, and she looks at me and she goes, girl, you're pregnant. I'm like, no, I'm not, because again, I was just like so convinced that since all the other times I hadn't been pregnant when I thought I was, I didn't want to get my hopes up, and so I didn't think anything of it. And really that was probably the only symptom that I had that did kind of put a thought in my head like, wait a second, I'm supposed to start my period in a few days. Maybe I actually am this month. Maybe I am. But then again, I was like, no, there's no way. So later that day, my husband and I were just chilling at home, and how our old apartment basically was we lived in a 1-bedroom. We just moved to a 2-bedroom, but half of our apartment, this makes sense because it fits with the story, okay? It's a side tangent, but it makes sense. So half of our apartment was like our kitchen and living room, and then you would go through the door, and then it was just our bedroom and the bathroom. So the bathroom was connected to the bedroom, so someone could go to the bathroom and the door could be shut to the living room and no one would know that you were going to the bathroom, if that makes sense. So that fits with the story because my husband and his friend were playing some games out in the living room, and it sounds really weird that I was taking this test while he was here, but again, they're so separate that like I knew they wouldn't know. And so I had a huge pack of Amazon tests that are really cheap. So I wasn't like scared to use it because I knew if I did, I wasn't wasting a lot of money. They're just those really cheap test strips. So I was like, oh, whatever, I'll just take it. Dallin will be distracted anyways, even though in my mind I really didn't think I was, but just in case. I went into the bathroom and I took the test, and I full on was not thinking that I would be. And I remember I was just looking at my phone and like just chilling there for a little bit. Then the timer ran out, and all of a sudden I was like, oh yeah, like, oh yeah, my test is done. And so I went and looked at the test, and there was a line, and it was really faint, but it was definitely there. After like a couple minutes, it just got a little bit darker, and I was like, oh my gosh. And so I took another cheap one, same thing. And so by this point, I'm freaking out. I'm like sitting on the bathroom floor like, oh my gosh. But I didn't fully trust it because, again, they're just cheap tests and it was faint. And so I was like, okay, I had a double pack of the more expensive ones that I could take, I think is what it was. And so I had like one of the ones that was still 2 lines, but it was a more expensive one, and then one that said yes or no. And so what I did was I took those, and I was afraid to take the electronic one, but I did anyways because I got 2 that said yes. And waiting for that one, once it said yes on the electronic one, I was like, okay, I'm pregnant. And I remember I just was bawling, well, silently in the bathroom because I didn't want anyone to hear me, but I was freaking out and I was so excited. It's all I've wanted to be basically my whole life is a mom, and so it was just a dream come true. But then all of a sudden reality hit in, and I was like, wait, Dallin's friend and him are still out there and I can't go tell him. And then I'm in the middle of this like crazy like panic / excitement mode when all of a sudden I hear a knock on the door from outside. So okay, Dallin's friend that was over was also my friend's husband that I had been talking to at church earlier that day. So she came over, and I heard her say something about like, hey guys, like come over for dinner, we have extra spaghetti, which is so sweet of her. But in my mind I was like, oh no. And so I like come out of the bathroom, and Dallin's like, we're gonna go over there for dinner, blah, blah, blah. And of course that sounded fun, but I just found out I was pregnant and I was freaking out, and I was like, I need to go to the doctor and get a test, even though it was a Sunday, but I was like, I need to go somewhere. I need to get all the things to tell him. And like all I could think about was how I just wanted to tell him that I was pregnant. But it was really funny because we had to sit through this dinner, and I couldn't tell Dallin and I couldn't tell my friends. Obviously I'm not gonna tell them right away. I just sit through, you know, hanging out with them, eating dinner, we played games, and the whole time on the inside I was just dying. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna explode. I cannot keep holding on to this secret. And so finally after a while I was like, okay, like I made up some excuse. I think I said, I don't even remember. I made up some reason and I was of why like we had to go or whatever. So our 2-year anniversary was coming up really soon. To Dallin I was like, oh hey, I have like an early 2-year anniversary gift for you, but I realized that there's a couple of things I need to get from Walmart, like wrapping stuff, and I really want to give it to you today. So I'm gonna go to Walmart. Which I did go to Walmart, but not for a 2-year anniversary gift. And he was like, oh, okay, like he didn't even think anything of it. So I raced to an urgent care that was open. They did a quick test for me, and they told me I was indeed pregnant, so I knew from the doctor that I was. And so then I raced to Walmart and I got a little onesie, and all I could find was one that was like a boy onesie, but I wanted one that said something about daddy on it. It said strong like daddy or something, even though we didn't know if it was a boy or a girl. But I got that. I got like this little box to put it in, just all the different things. So then I came home and had it all set up for him, and I told him, and I could insert a picture here of what, like how I told him. And I really wish I would have recorded it, but at the time I was like, oh, I want to be in the moment. I don't want to be like nervous with a camera. Looking back, I wish I would have recorded it. However, I do feel like I was able to be more in the moment. So at least I can tell the story and have it documented. But I still have the memories of it, of course. Anyway, how I told him was basically I had the onesie that said strong like daddy. It was, you know, those gift boxes that you can like, oh my gosh, why can I not think? Pregnancy brain. Okay. Those boxes that are really cheap, little like cardboard ones, and you can like put gifts in them. That's what I had. So the onesie with the tests, and then on top I gave him a Red Bull and like some Swedish fish because he likes those a lot. And so what I told him before he opened it and he saw the Red Bull and the Swedish fish, I said, these are just things to your present because you're gonna need a lot of energy for this present, but it's really sweet. His reaction was the best thing. I'll never forget his face. He was just in pure shock and excitement. And then we laughed about how long I had kept that secret all night while we had been with our friends. And yeah, that is the story of how I found out I was pregnant. Really, I didn't have that many symptoms. It was honestly just a weird coincidence thing that I took it early, and I told myself I wasn't going to, but I did. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and comment below any questions you guys want me to talk about, things you want to see from me, stuff like that. And I'm really excited to make more videos for you guys. So yeah, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.